Hi, everyone, and welcome to the In the Shoes of podcast, where I make it my goal to see life as much as possible from someone else's point of view. Just like we all have a unique heartbeat, every single one of us sees life only from our own perspectives. Think about it. Can you see and process life exactly as Elon Musk sees and processes life? The answer is you can't, and it applies to every living conscious being here on this pale blue dot. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of In the Shoes of. Last night I interviewed a guy named Nicholas who is playing the piano right now, and unfortunately the recording didn't come out right because it was going to my earphones, my AirPods, those Bluetooth things, even though they were in my pocket and shouldn't have happened. Anyway, we're going to give it another try tonight, and I'm still going to include a copy of the version that had clips and static and whatnot at the end of this episode, but he's playing the piano right now. Let's go say hi. He's a cat dog. That's amazing. To give you a visual, there was a dog that passed by, and of course the dog's owner. They were using a laser pointer, and the dog was just crazily running after it, which, is why I called it a cat dog. So it was pretty funny. And by the way, this all took place on Prince Edward Island up in Canada. I was there for work, and then when I was not working on that, I was interviewing some interesting, cool people. Like this dude, Nicholas. What's your name, man?
My name's Nicholas.
Yeah. All right, Nicholas. How do you see life?
A very fascinating experience. One that I'll never get to repeat.
Yeah.
At least not in the way that I'm living it now.
Okay.
How do I see life? I think I said to you last night, it's a trip.
Yeah.
It's a trip. It's funny, the way I see life today is probably a little bit different than I saw it yesterday when we talked.
Sure. Yeah, how so? Yeah.
Well, a lot's changed.
Yeah. Even in 24 hours?
Even in 24 hours, a lot's
Really?
changed, yeah.
All right.
The way I communicate with people, the way they communicate with me.
Sure.
Just the insights I've had, just the revelations in the last 24 hours is unique in and of itself. I see life as something that I cannot ever understand, but I just have to accept it and go day by day. So many people plan for the future. They're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to buy this, they're going to buy that, and none of that matters. None of that matters. You can't even predict what's going to happen 10 seconds from now. So I see life as very fragile. I see life as very uncertain, but yet totally composed. If you look at existence in a broad scope, as I mentioned yesterday, I mean, I view the entire universe as one living organism. We're part of that. We're part of God's composition, God's creation. So we might not know the outcome, but I believe He does. And as we talked about yesterday, some of your viewers might disagree with that, and so be it.
Sure. Yeah.
That's for them to figure out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I also said to you, when I pass away, I do not want to be on the wrong side of God.
Oh yeah, yeah, I do remember that for sure. For sure.
And I was thinking deeply on that last night.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, I'm kind of stuffed up a bit.
No bit, no worries. And so, do you think? And we touched on this a little bit yesterday. You talked about how you don't necessarily need, for instance, psychedelic drugs,
right? Yeah.
To see God and to even to experience and the intimate moments of music and to really experience all that music is to you. You know.
Yeah, that's right. Music. It's funny. Music.
Music.
Yeah.
That was a major component, even what we were talking about, for sure.
It is the component. Hopefully, when you edit this, you can compile it into some sort of tangible, logical progression of thoughts. Because I'm afraid that my brain is.
You know what? Me and you. It's so funny. Let me just let's backtrack a little bit.
We were allowed to talk about music.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like I think both of my brain gets a little bit scrambled too, because I told you last night that I have OCD.
Yes.
You know, and I know
so many people make fun of that, but I get it, like the real deal.
Well, yeah. Well, and people say
deal,
I'm so OCD about, but I actually have it, and I know you touched on the fact that you have schizophrenia. You've been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So maybe let's talk about schizophrenia and music. Let's start there. Let's
do that.
Yeah, let's talk about like how schizophrenia, how it affects you and how it actually involves music, because I find that really fascinating.
Music is the central part of my conscious mind.
Yeah.
The entire world around me is heard to me in music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even just listen to the branches behind. I mean, they're just moving in beautiful rhythm to the rest of the world.
Sure.
And my brain just allows me to hear that musically.
Right.
I mean, sadly, not sadly, but I mean, they're having an event over there. Otherwise, I'd play the wind for you on the piano, you know.
Right. So perhaps when we go back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When we go back. Schizophrenia. It's a complete blessing and a complete curse.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, do they want me to be medicated for the sake of other people or for my own benefit? And that's a question that I wrestle with quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because I do take medication for it. But I don't like it. It dulls everything.
Right.
At the same time, it makes it easier for other people to interact with me. But yet, me as a person feels very subdued.
Okay, so there are a couple of things there that I want to touch on. Because you mentioned yesterday, too, a number of things. One of them being, you hear so much music, you can't wait until we have that virtual reality to where you can actually have the music. It's just go 1,000 voices times a million.
Would you like me to elaborate on that again? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll have to elaborate on that. But even before that, I want to touch on the fact that you were saying how yesterday, whenever you just don't feel like you can fit into society.
No, I can't.
Like you just don't understand how most people even live, and that if you were left to your own devices and you could be your authentic self, you mentioned that you would probably end up in jail.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
And so can you elaborate on what does that look like with your authentic self, no medication, just yourself, your true self? What does that look like? Because maybe I'm really curious myself, and that's really to jump into your shoes. What is that authentic self?
Jeremy, my authentic self is not quantifiable with words. It is a person that is, I don't want to say out of control. Well, that's how others would view it. I feel and think so many things simultaneously that it's an infinite world of curiosity. Infinite creativity. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
But people do not realize that creativity has a dark side. People think of creativity as this beautiful thing. No, that's part of it. It has an opposite side, a very dark side. My mind will take me to some of the most beautiful, esoteric, ethereal places imaginable. And in a second, I will go to the complete opposite end of that spectrum.
I wish I didn't know what you were talking about, but I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It gets real dark real quick.
Yeah.
Real fast. You can look at someone and love them, and then in a complete instant, you can be thinking about very dark things about that person. The one difference is that you choose not to act on any of those things.
Amen.
Yeah. That's what's tough. Sometimes you can come up with a very horrible thought, but what makes you who you are is the ability to choose to follow through with it or to not. That's tough.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's not something I ever wished upon myself, but it's not something I'd change. Because every day I succeed in not committing, well, I don't want to say crime, but I think you understand where I'm going, you know. I mean, when you do not follow through with your thoughts, you just simply let them be, put them aside, and say, yeah, you know what, that's not who I am. Well, I guess, though, that is who I am, but I choose to not act on it.
Well, I think,
you know, you have to subdue.
Well, here's the
that
thing.
side of you.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
You even mentioned last night that there's a difference between, well, I would say the mind and the brain.
Yes.
And you were saying the consciousness and the brain. To me, the brain produces all kinds of things, thoughts, just kind of, it conjures up a lot of things. It's a machine.
I would disagree with that. The soul does that. The brain filters it.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's what you would say. Well, that's where we're going to probably disagree. Like
good.
Which is
time.
It's about time we disagree. Right?
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers. Right.
I think the brain is a very, very limiting device.
Yeah, exactly. I think it may be.
Okay,
maybe
so we
semantics.
agree again.
I think that. I think we agree, but we're explaining it in a different way.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Again, the failure of words.
Yeah, precisely. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two different people. I can't be in your shoes. You can't be in mine.
Right.
And words do not do us justice. Because we're both right. I know already you're right in what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And so am I. But we just don't have the mental ability to communicate things properly. But please, I'm so curious now to hear what you're going to say.
Oh, no.
About the brain.
Oh, about the brain. And, my thought is...
Your thought or your brain's thought?
Exactly, huh? Exactly, right? Who is doing the thinking and what is going... Yeah. So the brain, from what I understand, it conjures up a number of just random thoughts, most of which is just consistent. It's just every day it conjures up a lot of the same thoughts. But we don't have to take those thoughts. It doesn't necessarily mean it is us. It is the true me. Like the me, my authentic self. If I have a thought, let's say if there's a thought of something crazy of, I don't know, let's say I'm walking along a bridge with a friend and I love this person, but all of a sudden, and this happens with OCD too, where you get crazy thoughts. Everyone gets fringe thoughts though. And let's say I have this thought of like, what if I push this friend off this bridge?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
People get those fringe thoughts, but does that mean that I'm all of a sudden a murderer and have murderous
but it means
thoughts?
you could be.
It means that it's a random thought of like your brain is conjuring up something of like could be, but you know it doesn't. But let me backtrack. everyone does have the capability,
Yes.
the possibility of
Yes.
going
Yes.
to a very dark place and actually taking action in a very bad way.
And that's
like
where circumstance comes into play as well.
Oh, you mean well, elaborate on that circumstance. Like if they're put in a corner and...
I think life events definitely help shape people's ability.
So, let me
It
ask...
still comes down to choice.
Yeah.
They can still choose not to.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a significant impact of life events.
Right. So, for example, if those two friends, let's say instead of being on this lovely bridge on a lovely day, they've both just had a lovely meal of salmon and wine and whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say instead of that, they're living in some sort of in extreme poverty, and they have no food whatsoever. And this one friend knows that this other friend has enough money to where he would be able to take care of his family for a month. Feels like he's going to die. Are you talking about something like that? Like they would go and like maybe would kill his friend to get money?
Well, I mean that's one aspect. That sounds like Lord of the Flies, isn't it?
Right, we're getting
away. But at the same time,
stuff.
What about the people that just are curious?
Curious about like.
Well, this interview is getting quite dark, but for example, psychopaths.
Sure. Yeah.
They're just curious to see what happens if you kill someone.
Yeah, psychopath, sociopath, totally with that. Disregard of of other humans, right?
Disregard for the other person, but at the same time, it gives them, I guess, a high, so to speak. I'm not sure.
Probably. Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But again, I mean, it's all circumstantial. It's not something I dwell upon.
Yeah.
Because the world is already an extremely dark place.
Yeah.
But it's also quite balanced. There's a lot of beauty in the world. I mean, as we sit in this park, it's funny. We're sitting in the most beautiful park at the moment.
Oh, it's gorgeous, and it's a perfect night.
But yet we're talking about psychopathic murderers.
Right.
So, again, it's perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
You know.
It is.
And none of it's planned. It's all improvised. And I did not expect tonight's conversation to go into that area. And it's not something I think about very often.
Sure. Well, I think maybe we dovetailed into it because we started talking about schizophrenia, and I asked you about that's how we got to this point.
Let's go back to that. Yeah.
Let's backtrack once again, and just
no, we're not backtracking. We're forward tracking.
Okay, there we go. Forward tracking. Yeah. All right.
We're always moving forward.
Yeah,
we're never going backwards.
Yeah, just to give you, I want to speak to the listeners right now a little bit and say that when I first came tonight, because I was kind of just in a rush to get over here, and when I got here I was feeling just like, why am I hate it when things like I have technological problems with my equipment and things like that. But when I came, Nicholas here was just like, it's another day, another conversation, some more thoughts, and I was like, I like the way you think, man. Anyway,
each day is brand new. Each day is a new composition. It's part of a larger composition.
Yeah, each day. Yeah,
it's a little movement, a little theme and variation.
So how does schizophrenia to play into your music?
Now, let me ponder that question very, very briefly. By briefly, I mean a few seconds here.
You can take as minutes if you want. It's fine.
How does what would some deem a mental illness, which I don't view it as, how does it play a part in my music? I'm not sure where the schizophrenia ends and I begin, or if that's even a thing. Perhaps schizophrenia is just simply a more diverse form of consciousness. This is very interesting.
It is, yeah. And I see where you're going with it. Like actually, in your questioning, it sounds like. Sorry to interrupt your train of thought there.
Please help me along.
It sounds as though you're even contemplating the fact that it may not even be that we're using the wrong terminology, we're using the wrong symbology to describe something that maybe it's not a mental illness. We're calling it illness, and we're all agreeing that, but maybe as society has been wrong about a number of things throughout history, perhaps we're wrong about this one thing, and that just everyone else is living their own kind of illness or whatever, or happiness. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Happiness, people always want, again, this might be a short tangent, sorry viewers, but it's very important.
It's fine, they're used to it with me.
People always want to be happy. That's not possible. It's not possible.
Nope.
You can be happy for a minute, an hour, a day, but it always goes away. Happiness is a refined form of suffering. You can be content, though, in all things.
Absolutely.
And that's different than being happy. Being content and being happy are two different things. I'm content with my schizophrenia. Other people are not. Other people cannot handle the way I am naturally. Maybe it frightens them. The way I handle social interactions and interpersonal relationships might frighten them or cause them alarm. I'm not sure. But I have to spend every day of my life trying to fit into their world, but they don't come into my world. And I don't expect them to. But my expectations of people and their expectations of me will never match up. I have no expectations of people. Because I have me to take care of.
Sure.
I can't be worried about you or anybody else and how they act.
Absolutely.
It's your choices, not mine. The way you are in public and the way you are in your private life is between you and God, not me. I accept you for who you are. I accept everybody for who they are. Whether I agree or not with what they believe, again, does not matter. It's not up to me to judge. And to be honest, I have better things to do.
Right?
Really, I do.
In this short period of time we call life, there are better things to do than to worry about what other people are doing or thinking.
I'm honestly not concerned.
Yeah.
You could be the wackiest nut bar. You know what? Let's go get a coffee.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Let's go talk. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
Right.
Because it's not my choice, and it's not my life, and it's not my responsibility. The only person on this world, I should say, that I have responsibility to is my daughter. That's it. I have to be a good husband, but I most definitely have to be a good father.
Yeah. Because
she's going to mimic and copy and learn from me, and I need to be the dad.
Absolutely.
And that in itself, that's a challenge. That's the one personal relationship that is closest to me.
Now, let me ask you this question then. Is that one of the reasons why, and this is what you told me last night, that you write things down about proper ways to behave in society?
Yes.
Now, is it because of her primarily, or maybe one factor?
It's a very large factor.
Right.
It's definitely gotten a lot more important since she was born.
Sure.
Before she was born, it was, whatever. It's just, again, every day's a trip. But since she was born, I need to make sure I set a good example.
Absolutely.
And what does that mean, set a good example?
Right, yeah.
Again, another very fascinating topic of conversation. But,
yeah, what does that mean exactly? Because does it mean that we've set an example as society has determined a good example? What a good example is,
I want her to grow up humble, curious, loving, and creative. With God first.
That sounds great, yeah.
God first.
Sure.
Will she be that way? That's up to her.
Absolutely.
I can only do so much.
Yep.
I cannot control her choices. I cannot shape. Well, I guess I can in a certain way shape her behavior. But again, if you're trying to do that, are you trying to make them more like you, or trying to make them more like themselves?
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's, I don't know yet. This is totally unknown territory for me.
Sure.
Never been a dad before. She's
Right.
only 18 months old. I have no idea what's going on.
Right?
I don't know what I'm doing. There's no book on this stuff. Every child's different. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's another trip in a trip.
Right. It's another, like, you're improvising.
Hey,
Again, you know, we're
yeah.
always improvising.
So
And you're not going like the beaten path.
for the viewers out there, for any of you who are expecting a child, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Good luck to you all. You have my love. It's about as wild as you could possibly imagine. And it's the most rewarding and beautiful, stressful, happy, terrifying, frightening time of your life. And it will never stop for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
All right. That's beautiful, though.
Cool, eh?
It is. Yeah, it's very cool.
You know, it's unreal.
Yeah.
But the way they look at you, they're so trusting.
Yeah.
They're so trusting. That's something that you cannot duplicate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Duplicate's a poor choice of words. That's something that you cannot replicate.
Replicate. Right. Well, let's go with replicate.
Let me just get my thesaurus out here.
Right.
I don't know what I'm trying to say with that.
But I know what you mean.
No,
with
I
the
don't
context.
know. I don't even know what I mean with that one. Hold on a second. It's there. It's in the dark recess of my mind. There was a very, very valuable point I'm trying to make. It's an experience that nobody else on this planet can share, except between you and your child. Everybody
There you go.
else and
Yeah.
their child, it's their experience.
Gotcha.
Between you and your child, that's it.
It's an exclusive,
Yes,
beautiful
thank you,
experience.
thank you.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Most
the best sense of
indubitably.
the term.
Most
Indubitably.
Indubitably, my dear Watson.
Yes, well then, the rest of the interview shall be conducted in an English accent.
Very good.
Right then.
Right, I might as well just go Irish then. If you're gonna go on
Yeah, of
Sherlock
course
Holmes, I
then,
might as well
yes.
just go with the full-on Irish accent.
Well then, yes, of course, that's what we're going to do for the rest of the interview. It's perfect.
No, okay, fine. Back to the most serious. Aren't those flowers stunning?
Those flowers, and you know what else? The moon,
The
is now
moon!
shining brightly.
Indubitably.
I wonder, did you notice that I think both of our moods lifted in a way once the haze was removed from the moon? I don't know if I'm making stuff up. Or...
No. It definitely cleared.
It did, yeah. It totally
totally
cleared
did.
right here.
Yeah.
Makes
Wow,
me-
that's
yeah.
stunning.
It is. It's absolutely stunning.
Viewers, we're looking at a spherical object in the sky
Yeah.
known as...
Made out of cheese. Now, you did have some interesting things to say about the moon. We were talking about
What
your
Yes.
parents and, government agencies and
Yeah.
whatnot. You talked about paranoia being one of the things with
Oh, I'm a very
schizophrenia.
paranoid person. Very terribly paranoid.
Can we dive into that a little bit?
Please.
Okay.
Just ask away and I'll answer.
Okay, so
It's funny. I'm so paranoid about this interview, but you know what? If I don't do it, it's going to be a loss. It has to be done.
Absolutely.
I said to I went home last night and I said, can't believe I did that.
Really?
I did. I said, I can't believe I was so forthright with somebody I've never met before. I said, I
was great.
went through the works. I went through, he's a government this.
Yeah.
You know, I went, and I said, you know what? I looked at myself in the mirror, Jeremy, and I said, who cares?
Right. I actually wondered that too. I wonder if he, a part of his mind or whatever, believes that maybe I am part of the government agency or something. That's what I wondered.
Yes,
Actually,
the
I did
what?
honestly wonder that.
I think who would want to interview me? First of all, was a big thought. But it's so funny because I went home. I said I told him about this. I told him about that cat. Oh, that was a secret of mine. What was I thinking? Why did I do this? And I just looked at myself, Nick. who cares? I said, if you don't do this, you're going to do absolutely nothing in your life. If you're going to hide behind what might happen, you'll go nowhere. Well, you'll still go somewhere.
I know what you're saying, though.
But you'll go nowhere. And if you don't know where you're going to go, you're going to get there real quick. Because you haven't gone anywhere.
Right. You'll be right there.
Because you're already there.
No, and I appreciate the forthrightness.
No, it has to be done. It's basically me confronting my deepest fear.
Perfect. Okay.
My deepest fear is getting known. I don't know anything about your podcast.
Sure.
But opening up to a group of people that I'll never ever get to make eye contact with. Who'll never get to make eye contact with me.
That you know.
Just that I know of, apart from yourself so far. And just not confess, but just speak about my life. It's always been a fear of mine. Because I'm such a private person.
Sure.
And I never thought that I'd be sitting here in the middle of a park talking to... Well, I don't consider you a stranger no more. We've made eye contact.
Oh, yeah, no. We're friends now, for sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, my guard is up, but I choose to ignore it. Because I don't know why. I just have to let it down.
Okay. Yeah. And I hope that you know that there is no judgment on this end at all.
I don't care about judgment because you know what?
Good.
I'm sure there's 1,000 things in your life and 1,000 things in all you guys, all you people, all you human listeners. I can't even think of the word.
Sure.
My fellow humans, my fellow soul. Hey, that's it now.
There you go.
My fellow souls. I'm sure we all have things that we don't want others to know about. But if we don't talk about them, how can you learn from them?
Absolutely.
But the paranoid side is very, very fascinating because it's not quantifiable.
How so?
Well, for example, many times I feel that they are listening.
And who is they?
Exactly. Never found them yet.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't found them yet.
Wait, so when you do say they, what, I guess my question is, what comes to your mind when you say they?
Government, reptilians, just beings that are just beyond my realm of sight.
Right. Are you talking maybe even another dimension?
Yeah.
That we can't even see, because we only perceive a certain amount of things with our eyes and ears.
Such a minuscule amount.
I know. Yeah.
In fact,
absolutely.
I don't really believe in dimensions, not in the conventional sense.
Okay.
I believe there's one dimension, and we are only able to witness a tiny fraction of it.
Gotcha.
If you look at, for example, for the viewers, picture a greater than sign, sort of the triangle opening outwards, right?
Sure.
And then take a tiny little line, just the very base of that triangle, color it in. And that's what we can see. The rest of it just opens up into a realm that we cannot fathom.
Right.
We just don't have the sight. The brain, the thing that you love, just totally limits us, and for good reason. I think if the filter between the soul and reality around us, I think if that was removed right now, people couldn't handle it.
It'd be too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much. I believe people with autism experience that to a certain degree.
Sure.
No, I guess I should say I'm going to tread carefully, but really it's just speculation.
Of course.
Every autistic person I've met, it always seems to me that their filters are just on a different wavelength. Like they're experiencing so much sensory input, their brain just can't handle it. And as a result, it affects the physical body too. It's just like being overloaded all the time.
Yeah.
I believe that autistic people are far more aware than we'll ever give them credit for.
Quite possibly so.
I believe that there's just so much. I mean, imagine everything around you. Oh man, this is so hard to talk about. I hate words, man. Really.
Right.
I mean,
if you could just paint a picture with your mind right now
just,
in front of me, and
I could at the piano.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I could.
Right.
Yeah. Autism's far easier to play than it is to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Then later on, wind and autism are two pieces that I'll have to record later.
I think they might actually sound quite similar.
They might. Yeah. That makes sense. That would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just there's just so much going around. Even though it's nighttime right now, there's so much happening. Oh. People talking, leaves moving, smells, sights, sounds, shapes.
Everything happening on the subatomic level,
everything.
The cellular level, inside of our bodies.
Everything
Our body's working to get rid of whatever detritus in the side of itself, and
exactly.
just everything moving and working. The complexity of everything on a macro and a micro scale, for sure.
And it all works in perfect harmony.
Amazingly so. All right.
Perfectly so.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So
beautifully so.
Beautifully so.
It's a beautiful composition.
Yeah. With its dark notes, we talked about last night too. With it's even with the dissonant notes. Yeah, actually, I love dissonant notes.
You need dissonance
Definitely.
to appreciate consonance.
Yeah.
And consonance has no meaning without dissonance.
Right.
We
could barely define it, I don't think, without dissonance, right?
Well, I think we summed it up yesterday with balance.
Yeah.
Good, evil. Night, day.
Yeah.
Consonance, dissonance. I mean, everything has an opposite.
Right.
And when I say opposite, I mean opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn's cool, sunset's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all epitomized by night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is a transition. It's a circle. So, oh man, that's such a cool thought.
Yeah.
That's such a cool thought.
It's absolutely a cool thought.
There's so much that needs to be said, but it's so hard to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because people don't really talk about them very much.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. That's one of my favorite sayings. I don't know.
Mine too, and I think it's a good thing
I don't
to admit.
understand, and I don't know.
Right.
And I have no clue. And I'm sorry, but I really don't know.
Right. Right.
I mean, even just sitting here on the bench, there's so much happening around us that it's peaceful, but there's people laughing, there's lights. I mean, every leaf is moving in a completely different direction. I mean, there's so much happening.
There is.
It sounds amazing. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So, going back then to...
Going forward.
Right. So, going forward to talking about... No, it's all right. So even right now, I guess I'm trying to understand. I want to go a little bit sequentially. When you're talking about like beings, like them, they, your parents were in the military, right?
Yeah.
Both of them. And even right now, do you feel like there are beings around us that we don't see who could possibly be trying to, I don't know, just mess with us in some sort
Trying
of
to
way?
mess with me? No.
Okay.
Trying to mess with others? Yeah.
Okay.
Not saying they can't mess with me, but that's where faith comes into play.
Gotcha.
And
so you're talking about demons maybe? Or you're talking about like a whole plethora of things? Or of even humans? Because we did talk about like government agencies having, government tech and things like that.
You just open up a can of worms there. Let's just go with others.
Okay. The others.
Yeah,
okay.
The other. Yeah, lost, I think it kind of sounds
Is
like.
it? Yeah, that's right. It is lost. That's right. Yeah. All right. The others.
I would love to get into that conversation, but I'm afraid it's too deep.
Okay.
It's too deep.
No problem.
I will say that I believe actually the vast majority of it is demonic.
Okay.
And to the viewers out there, I'm sure it's very debatable, but personal experience has definitely shaped the way I think. I'm a very open-minded person, and I know that people talk about ghosts and spirits, and yeah, all of that's a very real thing. But just from personal life experience, the large majority of encounters I've had in my life growing up all seem to fall back to a very demonic nature. And it's something that I'm glad does not bother me anymore.
So, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what do you mean when you say, like in your childhood, that a lot of things have had that demonic nature?
I remember even just getting up. I remember once I had to go to the bathroom. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And walked to the bathroom, and we had the furnace room. I go in there every day. But this night, when I walked by it, I knew there was something incredibly evil in that room that I couldn't see. But man, could I feel it. Like, I could feel it. It was a level of fear I've never encountered before. I couldn't see it. But I could feel such a... I knew it couldn't touch me. I knew it couldn't harm me. But it was so powerful, I couldn't move. I had to turn every single light on in the basement just so I could go back to my room. I couldn't, for days, I couldn't sleep. And to this day, I always make sure there's light in my room. It was that powerful. And I've had other experiences, but that was definitely the most profound. Yeah, I mean, I've seen UFOs. I remember off at camp. I mean, there was always the satellites. You could always tell they're satellites because they follow a very specific path. You could always tell they're planes because they got the lights. But then there's those very odd occurrences where you just kind of go, yeah. That's a UFO. Nobody's gonna look at me, but that's cool. So be it. You know, I'll tell you right now, man, they could land in this park. I'd be like, yeah, wow.
And out walks Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
the
well,
journalist.
yeah.
Well, I'll save that question for later.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Live to learn to love, and love to live.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's the answer, actually. I don't even have to ask the question now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, viewers, yesterday, that was one of the most profound revelations we've had. We've had, yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Jeremy asked me how could I sum up the human existence and the human experience to a group of alien life forms. And I said, live to learn to love, and love to live. And it might sound kind of sappy, but if you really process it, it's a very, very neat way to be.
Yeah.
Because every day there's something new to learn. And when you learn something new, you can love it. Whether it's between relationships. I mean, this is coming from a guy that has a terrible time dealing with other people. But,
which is interesting to me because, you know, even just meeting you, I felt, yeah, like yesterday, for example, when I can't remember how we started talking, and I was just playing some notes on the piano, and I walked over and we talked about the piano, I think, a little bit, and you're like, we can make her play, or she can, I don't know exactly what you said, but I was like, this guy's it sounds very cool. Like, and then you started playing, and you were very warm, and I felt engaging. So I guess I'm having trouble understanding even like how it is where you run into trouble, because I feel like you're very adept at conversation and working and talking with people.
Because the person you can project is always different than the person you are when you're alone.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Now, again, the person you're talking to now is the real me. But at the same time, it's only a small part. Because I'm sure I'll go home tonight and I'll go over this entire interview in my head. I'll have another conversation with myself in the mirror about how I shouldn't have said this and shouldn't have said that.
And the guy's definitely a government agent, and I'm just kidding.
No. I mean, who cares?
Oh yeah.
I'd be flattered if they really,
right,
honestly,
right.
If the government went to this much trouble to talk to me.
That's true.
You know what? Great.
I must be onto something then. If that's it.
Yeah, take me away, guys. Take me to the ships, man. Because honestly, so I mean, you have to. Thankfully, I can rationalize my delusions. A lot of schizophrenics can't.
When you say rationalize,
because
your delusions.
again, even if you were from the government, fine, do what you got to do. You either are or you're not. If I live my life in fear of that, that's where the problem is going to start.
So you're saying maybe other people who have schizophrenia, they'll actually live their life in fear of that, so they'll stop doing things. But you are like, you realize that I like that. There's a parallel to that between schizophrenia and OCD, where with OCD we get these obsessions, and then to try and get rid of the anxiety, we have to do these compulsions, right? But really, what it comes down to is we can't be living our lives based on fear, or these fears like, oh, if I don't do this, wash my hands, or circle back and make sure I didn't run over somebody, or whatever it is, then I'm going to basically, this whole village is going to burn down, or whatever, it's just like, no, I can't live like that.
Yeah, we have a lot of similar traits in that respect.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
you can't. But that being said, viewers, some days it does totally hold me back.
Too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
But I'm a walking contradiction. I want to be completely left alone, but yet I have so much to say to everybody. I hate dealing with people, but I love talking to people. I don't want people to know what I'm thinking, but I want to share my thoughts. I'm in a constant state of fluctuation.
Do you think it's the same with music?
Yes.
Yeah. That you absolutely love to play and want to share it because it is a gift. But there's
private.
It's very private.
It's very intimate.
And as another fellow creative, I understand that it's almost, my friend from Nebraska put it like this. He was like, it's almost as though you're a child again, and it's like you've made this painting for your parents and you're presenting it and you're wondering, how is this going to be received?
Yeah.
And of course it's a loose parallel, but.
Well, no, it's very true. I mean, funny enough, out of all the people that could ever listen to this interview, it's not the government, it's not the viewers, the fans. It's my parents that I'm most concerned about. And I'm not sure why. Because I keep thinking, they've made their own mistakes in life. They've had their ups and downs.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've struggled from alcohol abuse, drug abuse. But yet, I'd rather all 7 billion people, except for mom and dad, hear an interview like this. Even though nothing bad been said.
No.
For some reason, out of all the people, the ones I want to keep the most apart from are my parents. Maybe because I don't want to hurt them. Maybe because I've done so much to help me through my struggles. We talked about psychedelics. I mean, my dad knows I took a psychedelic compound. Mom did.
Okay.
And I'm sure she'd probably just kind of say, "Oh wow, not surprised." But yet the paranoid side of my brain just totally amplifies the outcomes, right?
Right.
But I can't figure out why.
Your brain is going to that too,
Again,
imagining how your parents would react.
But so what?
Absolutely.
Right? The other side of my brain says, okay, so you were young and you did this and you learned from it and it was a very important experience in your life. Why are you so paranoid? And there's no answer. Because they're both right. I wouldn't change it. It's just, it's very fascinating. I've always been like that with people that are very close to me. I want to keep them at a distance. The less they know about me, the happier I am. It's easier for me to talk to a complete stranger than it is to talk to people I know.
Gotcha. This may sound a little bit sappy, but do you feel like is it a fear of being hurt by them or not being accepted, or of the reverse of you somehow not wanting to hurt them?
It's just a fear of being further misunderstood than I already am.
Gotcha. How do you feel? Can we dive into that? Like, how do you feel that you're misunderstood? In what ways?
In every way.
Every way imaginable?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm exhausted, man.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted actually talking to you is so refreshing. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm wiped. I feel like I just don't fit in. I observe the entire universe around me from my own singular point of view, in my own world. Nobody's in mine. I'm in everybody else's, they're not in mine. I don't think I'll ever get understood. I don't think I'll ever understand the way I think. I think if you want to get to know me, listen to my music. This is close. I mean, it is me.
How do the listeners listen to your music? Where do they go?
YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah.
What should they search for?
If they want a starting point, they can type in, let's see if I get this right, Nicholas Sonic Architecture.
Nicholas Sonic Architecture.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. And I still need to pull that up too. Maybe
that was the
I'll
first.
include some clips from even the YouTube clips, maybe, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no,
in some
please.
of the podcast episode.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, go through my music and see what you want to pull out.
Okay.
Every piece of music I've ever written is written in the moment. If I'm having a bad day, I hit record. Whatever comes out, that's it. That's the piece.
Sure.
No edits, nothing. Has to be that way for me. Some people take time and write it down. I refuse to write my music down. If somebody wants to play my music in the future, I'll happily take the piece and transcribe it. But from a composer point of view, when I'm angry, stay out of my way. I'm going to the piano. Don't bother me.
Right.
It's about to go over.
Right.
Now, then when it's done, I ain't angry anymore.
It's released.
It's gone.
Right.
And what I've captured, save that, edit it, master it, put it on YouTube. So Nick is angry because of, I mean, I always try to give it, very, very nice titles.
Sure.
But imagine if Mozart or Beethoven or Bach had today's technology. I mean, imagine Beethoven on a bad day. Right?
Right.
He could go home and spend weeks writing it out. Or he could just sit down, which most of the time he most likely did. Beethoven was a Bach improviser, Beethoven improviser, Mozart improviser. All the great composers could improvise.
Oh, you absolutely have to improvise. It's innate in a good musician.
Yeah,
it is absolutely.
You know? And if they had recorders or microphones, imagine
Yeah.
all the other music that we'll never get to hear. Like, imagine Beethoven on a bad day when he just comes home, slams on the piano, and finishes and gets up and goes to the bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
That piece, right? We'll never get to hear that part of Beethoven.
Right. We'll never get to hear the Beethoven, or in the future, where once again what you were talking about with VR, of being able to, whatever is going on in your mind, you can actually send that out.
Yeah. But the thing with my music is that you now can hear what I'm feeling.
Right.
Every piece is based on an actual time of significance in my life. Every piece. Whether it be something minuscule or macroscopic. It's all emotionally relevant to me. But yeah, the VR. We were talking yesterday. Dear viewers. I was telling Jeremy about how someone once told me that, there's nothing new going to happen in music. And I told Jeremy, no. I said, I'll tell you right now, in 30 years, maybe even less, 30, 40 years, I'll be able to sit in a concert hall, put on a device, and as I think my music, or as I think the music, because it's not mine, I don't know where it comes from, or it comes from God, I guess. As I think the music into existence, the audience will be able to hear it as I hear it in real time. And that is where I see the future of music going. And such a fantastic concept. I'll never stop playing the piano. I love the piano dearly. But I was telling Jeremy that what I hear in my head is so much deeper than what I could ever do on the 88 keys of the piano. And with the way technology is going, we're about to enter a totally new realm of composition and music. It's gonna be fascinating, especially with holographic technology just coming to the forefront. Composition's gonna take on a whole new world. It's very exciting times, but hopefully the music industry doesn't completely shut us all out.
Right.
With their Lil Pump.
Oh, that's right, we did touch on that too. Which still not familiar with Lil Pump.
Yeah, but... well, yeah, good for you.
Oh.
There's a guy at my work who knows that I'm not a fan, and he constantly sings a lyric. And the sad part, the dude makes... He's like 17. He's made more. I don't care about money, but Lil Pump 70. He's made more money than I'll ever make in my entire life.
All we can do is just
No, it's hilarious.
That's life. Yeah, exactly.
I think good for him.
Yeah, sure.
Really,
sure.
I think it's great. Part of me actually really likes the guy.
Right.
So I'm never a snob.
Yeah.
If he enjoys what he does, okay, sure.
Sure. Sure.
And he makes a living off it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, only the jealous people can really, point a finger.
I think Patton Oswalt put it, he talks about even the band Nickelback, a Canadian band, actually. And, a lot of people
are you
like...
Canadian?
What's that? I'm not, no.
Oh, sorry, where are you from? America,
I'm from the U.S., yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I live in Austin.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Would it bother you or your viewers if I said I was a Trump supporter?
No, are you a Trump supporter? Really?
Yeah.
You are?
I am.
I've been wanting to interview a Trump supporter for a long time.
Yeah, okay.
And a Canadian Trump supporter? How did I get so lucky? This is amazing. You're like throwing me for so many loops here, Nicholas. Okay, let's delve into this. Let's dive right in.
Yes, I completely support Donald Trump.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear why.
I completely ignore the mainstream news.
Okay.
For good reason.
Right.
Especially the CBC, the Canadian Brainwashing Corporation, as I like to call them.
Right. It's actually the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation
yes,
is what it is.
Yeah, it is. Oh, they play fantastic classical music.
Oh, well, there we go then.
I
a
love
bit
them
of
for
Bach
that.
and some Beethoven. Those are two of my favorites.
But then every hour comes the news.
Mm.
And my goodness, if they could twist words. Oh, no, wait a minute. My goodness. Do they ever twist words?
Mm.
Trump. I see a guy that's highly intelligent and runs America like a business.
Mm.
And he's doing exactly what he says he's going to do. I mean, he is slandered and he is opposed every single day of his presidency. Every day of his presidency, he's opposed. The news is after him. The left is after him. It's actually a very important conversation to have with the viewers because I'm guessing you're not a Trump supporter.
No, I'm not.
That's fine. No, that's okay.
No.
No. It's okay. It's fine.
No, that's why I'm glad to have a Trump supporter here, for sure.
Politics it's very hard to talk about without people getting upset.
I'm not going to get upset. Yeah.
Good, me neither.
Okay, excellent.
Maybe Trump, if you're ever going to hear this, Donald, Mr. President, Mr. President, if you're listening, this is addressed to you, Mr. President. Don't try to make America great again. Try to make Americans great again. Americans being Native Americans, immigrants, all people who legally came into your country. Try to help to make them great again. Make your country a place where people of all races and ethnic origins can work to help build the country that it used to be. Apart from racial divide, forget segregation, forget all those things. That's in the past. Go forward. Make Americans great again. Don't try to make America great again. Because like you said, America has a lot of things in its past that they should not be proud of. And I agree with you on that. 100% I agree with you on that. Donald Trump may not be the best man, but I don't know. I never met the guy. I don't know what's true and what's not true.
Right.
So, I mean, people can say this about him, and other people can say, I don't know. I've never looked him eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Go for it. Be the president this country needs. Let's put it this way.
Okay.
I'm a Canadian Trump supporter who's a schizophrenic.
I love it. I'm standing up. So okay, and this podcast is about you. This is not about. I'll probably even edit out my thoughts, and I'm going to edit this down. So this is not about me.
How about
this?
Is you. Viewers, let's just forget about the whole Trump thing, because you know what? It's the Kobayashi. You ever heard of the Kobayashi Maru?
No.
Star Trek.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's the unwinnable situation.
It is absolutely.
Yeah. Religion and politics will divide people like nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
It's true. But I still feel like we've just had a conversation.
Yeah,
I have no ill will in my heart.
No, me either. And you know what?
So
we're done with the politics, and guess what? Nothing changed.
Nothing at all.
Still just as happy to be here having a conversation with you.
Me too. And I find it fascinating too because like I said, you are a very warm person. We can talk about the beautiful complexity of life on the planet, and you're a musician, and you love Bach and Beethoven, and yet, and a lot of people like in America who are on the left or are more on the creative side of things, they'd probably be like, how is this happening? How,
Beethoven loved Napoleon.
Ah, really?
Beethoven wrote, viewers, this is a little bit of music history for you.
Here we go.
Beethoven dedicated his third symphony, the Eroica Symphony, to Napoleon. He truly believed Napoleon was what was right at the time. And then Napoleon declared himself emperor. And to this day, on the original manuscript, when Beethoven found out that Napoleon declared himself emperor, he scratched out Napoleon's name so hard he tore the manuscript. There's a big rip right through it. He felt betrayed about it. Mm. And I guess Trump is almost kind of like my Napoleon.
Trump is your Napoleon. Interesting.
In a sense.
So let's. I'm gonna have to get going, and I'll let you go too. But I want to hear another piece. But I want to kind of close this out with some of maybe just your thoughts on how music is a part of not only your life, but how important music is in life for us.
I think music is one of the most fundamentally important aspects of mankind. Music is a language that comprehends all of us. Music is a language that, for every culture, every person, every being, can totally encapsulate how we feel. And we can share that with others from around the world. And you can't do that with language. When a Chinese person meets a German person, they might understand a smile, but even the smile loses context. They could be smiling because they're embarrassed, or you know what I mean. Not with music. For some reason, harmony, rhythm, melody, counterpoint, it's universal. It's completely universal. It is intrinsic to the human experience. Anybody that does not have music in their life, even if it's on a limited basis, something going on. That's coming from a schizophrenic point of view. Something going on. I mean, if music is not at least somewhat pertinent in your life, something's not right. Because I can't see a day without it. Maybe some people don't realize music's on around them. For example, right now, if we just spend the next 10 seconds and listen, what do you hear?
Let's do that. And in fact, let's take our listeners right here, and let's take 20 seconds and listen. Ton of things.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I can even hear the change of light.
Oh yeah. Oh, the shade of the light. Yeah, that's a nice.
The change of light.
The what?
The change of the light.
Oh yeah.
Goes from a dark harmony to a.
Yeah.
Modulates. See it?
Yeah. Definitely.
It doesn't produce an actual sound, but it's
still
audible.
Colors it somehow. Yeah.
So much.
I was even thinking of like that truck as the bassoon and the cricket as the snare drummer. Anyway.
It's funny. It's as I stutter along here. I find it fascinating how people tend to take extrasensory sounds and try to put them into categories. For example, like you took the crickets into
A snare drum.
and you took the
bassoon.
why not just let them be what they are?
Right. Right.
It's a truck. It's a cricket.
Right. Well, I mean,
Still-
you know,
yeah,
but
no,
I know,
it's right.
you know,
but
was making it into some music,
No,
though,
no,
you know.
but-
But I know what you're saying.
It already
why can't
is.
Why can't it already be music? Yeah.
It already is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's
Definitely.
it's no slight. I just find
No,
it
no, of course,
because
of course.
so many people do that.
Yeah.
So many people do that. As a person, just listening and saying, "Huh, we're living in a composition."
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody seems to try to want to quantify it.
I see what you're saying.
You know, they want to put it into terms that makes it tangible or easy to, you know.
Right.
And it's not. It's right. I mean, sure. I mean, in your mind, that might be the bassoon, and that might be. But the key to it all, I think, is to just let it be what it is.
To actually.
It is what it is.
Right. You're saying
Okay.
let the music just be the music.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be any one thing. Just like not limiting what you actually hear in your mind to those 88 keys.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
No.
Right?
Let's head back to the piano, I think.
For sure. This has been great, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Seriously.
Still going, yeah? All right, viewers.
Here we go. We are at the
In
piano.
front of the piano, we got some screeching in the background. It's so contradictory. We're just like, enjoy the music of all existence. And then it's
Yes.
like, yeah, got some screeching going on.
Check out the screeching.
You know?
Yes. All right, so what is this piece going to be called?
No idea yet.
Okay, we don't know.
We got the moon up there. We got, you know what? Let's just play. How about that?
How about that? Yeah, I agree.
play.
Let's do that.
Oh, yes. I believe we stated yesterday, the notes on this piano, 60% don't work.
Right.
There was some severe water damage. It was left out in the rain.
And there are a lot of dissonant notes too, but we also agreed that that's kind of how life can be too.
Exactly.
There's dissonance in life.
Just gotta play around it.
Yeah. What are you talking about? That was great. You didn't like it?
No. Isn't
Why
that
not?
great? I love that about my music. I hate it some days.
Well, I enjoyed this one. I did, for
Did you?
sure. Yeah, definitely.
No,
Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't like it.
Gotcha.
It's fine. It's done.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can never take it back.
Yeah, and that's all right.
It is what it is.
Stop recording and make sure this is saved. And
Should we do a goodbye?
what's that?
Want to do a goodbye?
Yeah, most definitely. Here, this one's still recording. I'll probably use this one actually, but all right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Is this?
This is both recording for sure.
This might be the final potential physical interaction and conversation I have with Jeremy.
That's right.
Or
But we'll
could not
see.
be.
Yeah. Right. We'll see though. You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I appreciate your time
Yeah.
and your thoughts for being so honest with me about things.
It was a pleasure, and
Definitely.
so many things still I want to say, but tonight's not the night.
Okay.
But,
Sometime you just let me know, and whenever you want to say them, and I can make sure that's published.
It was so funny how yesterday the conversation's so different.
Absolutely.
Still similar, but different.
Absolutely.
Yesterday we did talk on one important thing, and that was alcohol and drug abuse.
We did. Yeah. We
And,
did delve into that a little bit more.
And something we didn't touch on tonight, but
Do you feel that's important to include?
it's very important.
If you want, I have time.
We talked about psychedelics quite in depth, and tonight we kind of got sidetracked a bit. Well, no, we didn't get sidetracked. We talked about exactly what we needed to talk about, but
Yeah.
I do feel it was important for me to mention the fact that a few years ago I did take a psychedelic. I did take LSD, and it was a very, very definitive moment in my life. And as I believe I told you yesterday, LSD taught me that I don't need LSD.
That's right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But the personnel, and I do not condone or encourage drug use. But I definitely would not change a thing in that respect. However, I wish that I'd never gone down the road of alcohol abuse.
Mm.
That's a big regret of mine. That really caused a lot of problems for me. Alcohol is very dangerous. I can see why it's so alluring. It's so benign and innocent in nature, and then before you know it, it's got you. And I always used to say to myself, just have a beer, you'll feel better, or have a sip of this, you'll feel better. And then you need 2, and then you need 3, and you need 4, and it goes on and on. And before you know it, your entire day is based around a drink. And it took quite a few tough interventions to get around that.
Mm.
Interestingly enough, it had a deeply profound effect on my music.
In a good way or a bad way?
Good.
Really? Okay.
In a
Like
good way.
while you were drinking, or when
Both.
you were able to?
Both.
Oh, really?
Both.
Okay. When you stopped as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It balanced itself.
Hmm.
I'm not sure why I feel compelled to talk about it. Perhaps it's just something that's bothered me a long time, and I feel that I know I'm not alone. I'm sure quite a few of your viewers definitely had their own problems with substances and whatnot, but
Absolutely.
alcohol, it's funny how they make it so easy for you to get.
Oh,
It's amazing.
especially here in
Oh,
yeah,
you know what I
Canada,
mean?
North America. Absolutely.
It funds the police. It funds the hospitals. It funds the court system. Cigarettes, alcohol, gambling. Make it legal. Rake in the dough. It ruins lives. Nearly took mine.
I've seen it in another.
Yeah.
I've had friends who have really gone down.
Look at Jim Morrison.
Absolutely.
Look at
Yeah,
Jim Morrison.
we talked about Jim Morrison
Yeah, we
yesterday
did,
a little bit. Yeah.
Funny. After taking LSD, I never had a craving to take it again. That was it. It was enough. It's funny how psychedelics are different.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. That was different.
You're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Got it.
You're right.
Yep.
Do you think it did have a profound effect on your music too, with the psychedelics?
Yes. I believe before I took LSD, I walked away from music completely.
Oh, that's right.
I was done with it.
Right.
How I ended up taking it, I don't even know. I was like, you know what? Fine. You know what? Let me just try this thing. Whatever. Everyone says it's bad. Let's see. You know. I remember putting it in my mouth and going, "You idiot, Nick! Really? You just did that?" I said, whatever. You know, half the brain's going this way. Half the way.
Sure.
And then about 40 minutes in, 50 minutes in. No, later than that. I remember the first 50 minutes, it started just to kind of build and build. And I said, oh dear.
And the ride begins right now. Yeah.
And then it was just, wow.
Yeah.
Very humbling.
Really?
Very humbling.
Yeah.
But, again, as Granny always used to say, you know, if Christ was beside you, which I believe he is, would you do it? And I asked myself, no. I don't think that's something I should be doing. No, I understand its value. And I've always wondered, would I ever have come back to music on my own without it? Did I actually need it in the first place? Or did I just think I needed it? What was I looking for? What was I running away from? Or what was I trying to get to? What was my mental state at the time that made me want to try that? And ever since doing it, I don't think I've ever come down.
Well, that's right. You did say that the effects have lingered after
Constantly.
all these years, right?
Years.
Yeah.
Not in a full-blown,
Of course.
but just.
I can tell you're not tripping right
no,
now. Obviously.
well, actually,
so.
it's funny. I am.
Really?
In my own way.
Interesting.
I view it's when I say life's a trip, I literally mean that word for word.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like now.
Yeah.
Before that experience, I had no comprehension of that. As I drool on myself. Now it just feels like one long extension.
Sure.
It's a very, very interesting state of being. And I definitely think it didn't cause my schizophrenia, as that it's genetic anyways, but I do feel it exacerbated it.
Gotcha.
Not in a negative way, from my point of view. Let's just wait till this thing passes by.
Yeah, whatever. Right.
Actually, quite a fascinating sound.
It
isn't
kind of
it?
is interesting, right?
It just gets louder.
What is happening?
What is it? It's all around us.
They're coming for me. I know it. I can feel it.
The government is in the garbage.
The government is in the garbage again. Somebody help us. Only God can help us now, John.
Dang it, they've stolen my tracking device.
It's all in the garbage.
Should have hit it better. That's a terrible sound.
Yeah, it just continues on too.
The dissonance is beautiful in it, isn't it?
Right.
You know what it's like? It's like the sound of somebody with no hope. Just
But erratically so.
yeah.
Erratic hopelessness.
It's just like somebody just barreling down a hill towards the complete infinite abyss of unknown possibilities.
Yeah. Seriously. It's a very dark hill, too, I feel.
It is.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
so like I was saying, every day is a trip. Perfect example then.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. But LSD was totally independent of alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol, I had a drink one day and I liked it. And then somebody hurt me real bad in the past. And I remember watching a movie and the main character was also hurt in a very similar way. And the first thing he did was go pick up a bottle. And I remember going, oh, I associate with that. And I went and picked up a bottle. That was it. That was it.
Yep.
For years and years and years.
Yep.
Couldn't get out of it.
Yep. How did you finally break out?
Family.
Family?
Yeah.
They intervened?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's pretty bad.
And combine that with the schizophrenia, it was tough.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you literally, I had, well, yeah, I won't get into too many details, but I'm quite intelligent, and I had very interesting methods of sneaking it in and sneaking it out. You know, but I just got to the point where I couldn't manage it.
Sure.
You know, you think you could be a functional alcoholic, you can't.
Right. Right.
You can't. You know. Now it's nice to have a beer every now and then.
Sure.
As far as I can go.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if you still struggled with anything even these
always
days.
tempted.
Yeah.
Every day
Gotcha.
tempted.
Okay.
Every single day tempted. Yeah.
Life's a trip, man.
Yeah, man.
Really,
Life's a trip,
life's a trip. I think that sums it up. And what is your saying again? Learn to
live to learn.
Live to learn.
Learn to love. And love to live.
All right, that was an intriguing interview, right? Nicholas is a fascinating dude, and I really appreciate the time he took. I'm back home now, and Nicholas has sent me some of his music. So I'm going to throw it on here, and I'm also, just as promised in the beginning of the episode, I'm going to include the original interview, from night 1, where it's really just not the best quality, but I try to clean it up, and I don't know, maybe it'll be fun to listen to. Or not, you don't have to, but it's there just for you. So enjoy the music, live the music, and keep enjoying this trip, right? I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
No.
visit. I ain't no schizophrenic. I'll make you a believer, but if you can, that's okay. You can put on Justin Bieber and keep your head down all day. Hey, instead I have a message. This world of ours is failing. It really ain't surprising. I really can't hold back no more. Lyrics keep on flowing. Although I ain't alone, who cares? I don't. I just want you to know it. Let me speak my song, yeah. All metal wearing dresses, chicks are oppressing. Our children are transgendered, yeah. Muslims say they're peaceful. Kids are gonna get living. Only holiday nights pass by. Our Western nation sympathize, yeah. We bring about our own demise. Make news, criticize, people's lives, people's colors, people's words, so fragile, so yeah, and you don't even know it. So grab yourself a drink or a shrink, yeah, 'cause you're gonna need it. I just turned 25, yeah, and the end is so much closer, yeah. Both are still alive, yeah. Learning how to improvise, yeah. I've had many things, yeah. I've had many things, yeah. You can be a teacher and make no mistakes. What kind of message? I'm very sentimental to our children. Emotions keep on burning, the stomachs keep on churning. Want to be with what's that philosophy? I see someone musically, share my thoughts to harmony. See my music, I live my thing to melody. I see the world, I feel it to rhythm. Gradually, looking lighter and more. We unfortunate don't matter anymore. We have succumbed to technology. I don't care about your face, your race, your faith, your mistake.
Is it famous?
Very little.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just know ni hao. No? Yeah.
I don't know much more than that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Speak Thai.
Oh, you speak Thai fluently. Oh, that's awesome. Wow, that's fun. Oh, that's awesome, man. Oh, well, this is my podcast is called In the Shoes Of. It's a perspective podcast, and it's all about seeing life from the perspective of someone else. So, and the last time I was in Canada, I was in Montreal, and there was another piano in the middle of the city, and I interviewed another guy there who was born in Syria. But it sounds like you also have a story to tell, and you also it's the same. It's weird because I went to that piano and I was just doing like I can play some notes here and there and some chords, but then I just like this other guy William, he went and just played this beautiful stuff. And the same thing here. You come and just play some beautiful stuff. So I want to recapture that maybe at the end of the interview here, and. How she doing? Oh, there we go. Well, that's awesome. Then when she's all done, man, we'll get you to record it. Oh, what's your name, man? Jeremy. Nice to meet you. Right on, man. Make that still recording. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I committed to a weekly podcast, submitting a weekly episode, so I was actually wondering what am I going to do this week, for an episode. So this is perfect. And Nicholas, right?
Yeah, Nicholas.
Cool. So tell me, man. Let's get some backstory here. Where you grew up and what your story is. Okay.
The crime rate definitely. I won't get into too much detail about that, but let's just say it's not a place I plan to retire in.
Gotcha. All right.
It's sad though. It's an absolutely beautiful landscape.
Yeah.
Music for me, I love that music.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I mean, how can you sum up your life in a few minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty difficult to do that. Yeah.
I'll just put it this way: life's a trip.
Yeah. For sure.
It's a trip. It's improvised. It's kind of like music.
Yeah.
Each day you wake up, you don't know what you're going to do. Well, you have plans, but it doesn't really work the way you think it is. So you might have ideas in life, but at the end of the day, you just bring it each day of your life.
Yeah.
And apply the same principles to music.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It's been a rough go though. Pretty heavy into the drugs and pretty heavy into the alcohol.
Sure.
And, do I regret that? No, because on one hand, it opened up an entirely new way of thinking.
Sure.
I guess sometimes to come up with something new, you have to be outside your own life. And it got me into a lot of trouble. I definitely went down the road that I shouldn't have gone down. Got married at a very young age. That was another. I'm not sure, but it was a good decision. 21, I just had to meet a Thai girl. Married. The way that went, and did not anticipate the problems that came with that, the cultural differences, the language differences.
And are you still married?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah, we both good. Oh, she's a good woman. She's a good woman. Cool. We got a little 18-month-old daughter.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And every night I ride her to some music.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, I mean, I get it too with, making mistakes.
Yeah.
Everyone has made mistakes. Yeah, exactly. That's life, right? If you're not taking any risks, then what are you doing exactly? So, how did you end up in Thailand? What prompted you to go? Yeah. Okay.
she, there was a Rotary Club inside. She wanted to put a sign there. And, of course, I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
And the way she writes, she completely transforms you to Thailand, other perspective who just goes from easy to this totally foreign land. And Thailand, as I was telling the gentleman earlier, Thailand's over 2,000 years old. The culture is just rich. It's far beyond anything we have here in Canada. And I remember reading the first page. No, the second. By the end of the second page, I couldn't put the book down. And I've read that book dozens of times. And every Thai person I ever met or encountered, I got them to sign that book for me. Well, actually, I'm a big Star Trek fan too, and I got American Project. I met her one day, and she signed it, and she wrote in it, Nicholas, music is the language. And when she signed it at that time, I wasn't really back into music again. I just kind of, it was nice. It was nice. It was a nice quote, but it never made sense to me. And then I kind of had a certain experience a few years ago that opened my mind. Let's just leave it at that.
You can. I mean, you can. I've had stories of ayahuasca on my podcast and whatnot. So it's up to you, though.
I'm a born again Christian.
Sure.
A few years back, I took a LSD.
Okay. Sure.
And, I don't regret it. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Excellent. Here, let me start this again. I want to make. Sorry to interrupt. But go ahead.
My mom and dad. Something I don't regret. You wouldn't do it again. They told me to go eat LSD. I think what it did give me that much completely new awakening in regards to music. Before that time, I had completely walked away from music. I was brought up in the classical where you practice and you learn the Bach and Beethoven. And I love these dear. They're very good. Yeah. But I was never a good classical pianist. I memorized music. That was my biggest thing. I always had so much other, not stuff, thoughts in my mind. Right? And I was very, very frustrated. And one of my teachers told me one day, Nicholas, I'm afraid that I just don't think you have any future. And that was the worst, best thing anybody's ever said to me. Because I did walk away from music. But years ago when I had that experience, it was just as if the creative barriers were gone. And I sat down at the piano and I realized that I don't need to play music on the program. I just need to think and explore my own sound. And week after week, I chipped away at it. This started in 2015, so only a few years ago. And after a month, it was just I couldn't stop. And since then, I've recorded well over 1,000 pieces. It's
Really?
oh.
So you've recorded. You ever recorded
I record every week, as much as I can.
Do you publish these songs?
Yeah,
anywhere?
I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Where can we find them?
They're all for free on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
To find my music, the best way would be to type in Nicholas Sonic Architecture.
Okay.
That was my first album for keyboard. I did. You'd have to hear it. It's quite psychedelic.
I'm going to hear it. Yeah.
It's very, very cool. But it's funny. Part of me, I'm a very paranoid person. I'm a very, very paranoid person. And So for me to do something like this is a little out of my comfort zone. But you know what? It's kind of a good thing. Yeah. Funny enough, it's a blessing.
So I'm about to ask you, do you think that for like the creative arts, a lot of people, the perception is you need to have a little bit of crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
to actually produce. Like, I mean, I too have a mental thing. I have OCD. Like, I mean, not just like, oh, I'm so OCD about it. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's
people,
the real deal, you know?
People don't take that seriously.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it.
Yeah, for sure. So no, and I get it too. Like I know what you're saying. And so that's interesting to hear, like your thoughts too about like even when you talk about, you talked about some like alcohol and drugs and schizophrenia and all of that. Do you think that all, for better or worse, whatever, forgetting about what society thinks about whatever, do you think that actually does kind of open up some doors? And I'm not even for people listening. We're not saying anybody should do any of these. It's just like, well, what worked in your life or.
Or not. Because when I look at any of the great composers, Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, I can't find a single one that doesn't have something going on. And as Aristotle put it, I mean, this is not, it's not meant to be an arrogant statement, but I believe he said no great mind exists without a touch of madness.
Like that, yeah.
I get it. Now, of course, I might pass away and it might be years before you hear my music, but so be it, because I don't do it for other people. Music for me is the best way to communicate what I'm feeling. And I can't, I have so much to say about the stupid things in my life, the good things in my life, that I can't use words for. I can articulate everything with chords. Well, I don't even think in chords anymore. I feel it. It's such a beautiful connection. People say, what's your native language? Music is my native language. Then comes English, and then comes Thai. It's so cool because I'm terrible with relationships. I'm terrible with social protocol. I cannot stand living the way I want to be. I can't, because you either get locked away for being, I'm quite an eccentric individual. But every day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, everything has to be rehearsed. I have to make sure I act this way around such and such, or I have to, there's hundreds upon hundreds of rituals you have to do each day just to get through it. Nobody's coming on to my level. I gotta know what everybody else is, Like from the way I dress down to, and the way you speak, and even eye contact. I can't stand eye contact sometimes with people. I always wear sunglasses as much as possible because as long as they can't see into my eyes, they never know me. I can look into theirs, but they can't see into mine. So that connection's never there, which is fantastic. It's like I'm an observer of the world around me. I mean, I'm not in this plane of existence, but I don't quite have to be a fully functioning part of it. And it's very liberating. Now, my dad gets it. My mom's old school military, and she's a beautiful, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
But my grandmother, she's even more beautiful too, but they're just a different class of life. So I always have to be it's like Nick Light. Like, I mean, I have a journal, and in my journal I have a list of things I have to do on a day-to-day basis just to appear normal.
Yeah. So you actually write out the list.
I write down all the things I have to do on a day-to-day basis, to remember just to get by.
Yeah.
And if I didn't do that, I'll tell you right now, my physical appearance would deteriorate, my hygiene would deteriorate, my interpersonal relationships would dissolve. Like if I was just to be my natural self, I don't think I'd be out in society. I think I'd either be locked away or I'm not sure. I've tried it before and it just doesn't work.
If you don't remind yourself.
If I miss myself by nature, I love it. It's free.
You're
But
authentic self, right?
people really can't handle it.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think it has anything to do with your surroundings? Like if you were in a place like, let's say, New York or...
I couldn't do it. It's just too overwhelming.
Well, New York is very overwhelming,
Yeah.
for sure. But even a place where it's more... I don't know where you live. Do you live here in PEI?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you find that here because it is a little bit more of what's like bourgeoisie, like a more, kind of middle class, white, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I could not be myself here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I could be myself on that instrument.
Yeah. But I can tell. And when you were talking about that, I was like, I relate. Because, I don't, piano is not my main instrument, but I also, this podcast is not, I'll probably edit this part out because this is not about me, this is about you. I just want to let you know that that's the only way, one of the few times that I feel just so connected with myself, the universe, just being in that moment, present, is when I'm just playing my instrument. And not playing for anyone else or for any purpose other than to enjoy the pure, I can't even describe it really, that visceral aspect of music that's just part of you and it translates into something, I don't know, it's like almost alchemy,
Music is, as Beethoven said, music is above all wisdom and philosophy. The higher elevation is wisdom and philosophy. Well, I've always felt music, it understands all of it. There's not a single culture without music. But that I'm aware of.
Oh, no, I think
But music can take feelings from people all over the world and connect everybody. You don't even have to speak the same language. Music is so far advanced. And it's such a shame, really, with music of today in the mainstream world. Now, I'm not saying the music's trash, but a lot of it is. And the art itself is in trouble. The youth of today, how can I put this? Let me just choose my words very carefully. Music has gone from something very liberating to something very compelling. The mainstream music industry has the power to totally corrupt and shape the way people think. Just like cinema, just like television. But with music, it's deeper. Because yes, it's something I haven't really had to articulate. I understand it in my own mind, but I don't know how to explain it. Music's a powerful weapon. It's a very powerful weapon. It can shape the way people feel, either positively or negatively, or it can't affect people at all. But music is so universal in its nature that I believe it far surpasses that of television and cinema. At least for me personally, music affects my soul deeply. And growing up, I remember people that listen to certain kinds of music would turn out to be a certain kind of way. And I'm not labeling, but it's just, but I found that the kind of music greatly affects your personality. Not necessarily in a good or bad way, but it has a very strong effect. And nowadays, the money making, a lot of this trash, for example, the rapper, what's it? I don't even want to call him a rapper, he's hip hop. Little Pump, I think.
I don't even know. Actually, I don't know.
I'm sure it's just trash and it gives his kids the wrong message. I think it's always been music. I mean, the Doors. They were one of the biggest bands.
Sure.
But look what they started. They decided, right? I wonder. Like, I mean, Jim Morrison was a very, very intellectual act. He could play the crowds. He could get the whole church boiled up into riots. And that's one guy in smaller in the 60s. Now, that amplified on today's scale. And to be honest, I've seen a huge degradation in society. People are in decent life. People coming back on God. And, I don't know how to put it. They pushed God out of the world. Because, of course, I mean, there can't be such thing as God.
That's beautifully put. Let me ask you a question about that. Because there is this conception, I think that in various societies, of course every society and culture has its own place of religion, where they have this vision of God. And you can't help but have some of the man-made, like, because just we have our own biases and we have our own things that we've grown up with and our own vision of how we envision God in our heads. So let me ask you this: when you think of God, how do you envision God as being, as you understand, however you want to, whatever pronoun you want to use, him, her, or
Someone once told me, God said it, I believe it. And I've taken it. God sent his son, physical for God. And Christ died for my sins. I didn't ask him to. I mean, I've sinned my whole life. And Christ comes along and dies for my sins. The creator of all things gave up his life for me. That's pretty humbling. And not a single other religion in the world is like that. Every other religion, you have to do something to get. You have to do a certain amount of good works or do this. And yet, low in the background is Christ. This big, humble, peasant man who simply says, just to believe on it. I accept the fact that you're and be saved. And I'm thinking, wow, is in every niche I don't want to be. I don't because other people's music. It's something so beautiful for all of beautiful women. Music. It's all. I mean, there's not a single thing. You could pick up a grain of sand. Look at it in the microphone. Still, incredible. Look at the cellular level, down to the atomic level. And they teach you it's all a big accident. Now, I never used to believe in God. I went through Buddhism phase, I went through, I went through a whole bunch of phases. I was brought up in a Christian house, and for the most part, I believed it, but I kind of like, let me see what else is out there. But life taught me the opposite. Back when you're in the pits of drug and alcohol abuse, I'll tell you right now, the first person I turned to, back to Christ.
So,
It's saved my marriage, too.
really?
Yeah.
Is she a Christian as well?
She is now, yeah. And, first, the house and everything else. When you follow the Bible, even though for some people it's a tough pill to swallow, they'll find anything. Sexuality is not fine, but I don't agree with them. No, I still love them. I don't agree with their act, but I don't judge them. It's not for me to do because I have my own stuff to deal with. I got my own stuff, I mean, they make a lot of Christians sound like these Bible thumping haters. No, I don't care if you're. I don't care what you are. I'll love you the best I can.
Well, I think that's what it comes down to is love, no matter religion, whatever you believe,
Exactly.
right? And I think, I mean, you know more than me, you're a Christian. I mean, when I think of, and I'll be honest, I'm not a Christian, but when I think about what I know about Jesus, love seems to be the overarching theme, right?
And then at the end, he goes, and he made the stars also.
There's so much to think about. One thing that I really like is, I look at the, can't think it's right now, but, oh, look at that moon. That is great. For the listeners, we are outside in this beautiful little park. There's a band playing in a bar behind us, and the moon is this kind of, or almost like a dark orange or something. I don't know. It's really ridiculous.
You want to play it for you?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to do that, and also after you play, I'll also have one last question for you. Because it's one that I ask every time. Right here. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Maybe if you want to mind forward, you might
Oh yeah. I want to try not to pick up the band. Okay. Cool. No. Take your time. Seriously. My podcast episodes can be as long as they need to be. Yeah. So you go. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Bravo, man. Bravo. No, seriously, that was great. Seriously. Yeah, man. Ah.
Well, I mean,
I know, yeah. I know for the listeners too, like this piano is sitting outside once again, and it's out of tune, but still, I mean,
well, I think
it's still beautiful.
I think 60% of the notes are.
Yeah.
Well, because you hit them and there's no sound, right?
That's right. I noticed. They just stayed out.
So you gotta play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
At one point, I'm playing and I gotta grab the note with two fingers and pull it back up.
You know what though? I look at that. Even I was thinking about it as you were playing. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I can tell some of the notes where with the it's the piano itself. But I'm like, that's kind of how life is.
Isn't it?
A little bit because it's unpredictable and it's a little bit. It's not exactly just perfect and polished. It is a little bit out of tune sometimes, right?
Just like music. It's like improvised.
Improvised.
It's like music.
Completely. Exactly.
You know, it's so poetically beautiful. Music is such a language.
It is. Sure.
People have told me, I had one person say, "Oh, yeah, we've done everything we can with music." I'm like, no.
No way.
Not even 30 years. Look at the world of virtual reality. I tell you, one day I'll be able to sit on stage, hopefully, put on a headset, and the music I hear in my head, I will be able to project it in real time. What I think the audience will be able to hear. I'm not talking simple 88p. I'm talking beautiful, polyphonic, just new music, thousands of voices. Because there's no, I have to condense the music in my head for the piano.
Right.
Which is limited, but what I hear, there is no limit for the mind. And the more you practice music in your mind, the richer it gets. I hear the entire world of music. And now I can't look at it. I hear it. That's a beautiful. It's not a curse by any means. It's burdensome. Always.
Right. Well, I think that it's such a gift. It's a gift too. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It's
For
just
sure.
like whether working, walking, sleeping, there's always music. It just generates.
Yeah.
I never want to lose it.
Right. Right.
I would never want to lose it, but at the same time, you're always fighting with it.
Right.
Because it's just because you can't focus.
Gotcha.
And then when they give you meds for it, they say you're schizophrenic, right?
Oh, I know, but
You know what I mean?
no,
You see
I see what you're saying. Okay, so it's actually to that level where it's just infiltrating everything in your day, most of your mind. Like it's probably taken a. I wonder, have they ever taken like a scan of your, like they inject something into your, I don't know
I
what they
think
do.
it's a die. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where they can actually see what parts of your brain are activated and what.
I'd love to.
Well, let's keep in contact so you can let me know if you ever do that, and then I can post the scans or whatever on the website.
I don't think I have the funds to afford it.
Well, if one of us ever gets the funds,
If any of your viewers want to hook me up.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, seriously, yeah, exactly.
Same with, like psychedelics on music. I'd love to see a brain scan of someone on a psychedelic compound.
Sure.
While they're improvising. They've done it with painting.
Yeah.
They've taken different compounds and given me different results. I'd love to try that with a piece of music. And we'll take a 4 or 5 note theme and with different compounds, see what areas of the brain. For example, psilocybin, there's lower brain activity. LSD, there's higher brain activity. But yet both equate to creative output. Funny enough, on the topic of psychedelics affect your soul. People don't understand that your brain is not you.
Right.
Your soul powers. Your
how you could be like the silent watcher of all the thoughts that are going on. You can stand apart from it. Really.
Your consciousness is not your brain. Your consciousness fits your brain in this world. So you can function in this three-dimensional existence. But your brain is not you. You're so powered your brain. Your brain powers your body. Scientists think that everything is the brain. They think mental illness is always the brain. No, it's a consciousness. It's a different consciousness. And that's why they can't cure mental illness, because a lot of people are saying that the brain can have an effect on your consciousness.
Yeah.
But at the same
Like an
time,
actual like mental disorder.
exactly. But when you leave your body, like for example, you leave your body every night. Or you leave your body, you leave your brain in a way. You know, your brain is the filter. And that's why psychedelic compounds are filter. They let you see the world for like a lens. I mean, for example, I remember reading a report once about a guy. He got into a car accident. Just over 3. And he remembers that. He had not a body experience, but he remembers that when the impact happened, he was thrust out of his body. But the person he was outside of his body was a mature adult.
Interesting.
Very interesting. He said he thought and everything was as if he was middle-aged. And then he was thrust right back into the body of a 3-year-old.
Interesting. Wow.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. They say that ayahuasca or DMT kind of mimics near-death experiences, so I wonder if that even, I don't know, I'm seeing some parallels anyway to what you're telling me.
I think between life, psychedelics, and death, I think psychedelics are an interesting dimension in and of themselves. As a born-again Christian, it's not something to do. Now, I'm not saying because I'm a Christian. Well, yeah, obviously. And Jesus was righteous. Bad things. But he won't be taking drugs and kind of you don't need drugs. That being said, though, from a scientific point of view, they do open up an entirely new world of philosophy, thought. So I see merits, especially for educational and philosophical reasons.
Sure.
Now, I had my experience. LSD taught me that I don't need LSD.
That's cool.
Every day is just an experience for you. I think it works like that.
Yeah. Really? So it's stuck with you?
Completely.
Really? Interesting.
But to the point where it makes it now, I believe that it did affect accelerated my schizophrenia.
Oh, okay.
I believe it just flew over my mind so far to the point that I can't go back. I don't want to.
Sure.
Don't want to. But before the experience, I was a different person. If I met you 5 years before the experience, arrogant, egotistical, self-absorbed prune.
Really? Interesting.
I thought I knew that. I thought I knew that. Now,
Sure.
the older I get, the less I know.
That's how it is, right?
It is
I mean, yeah.
It was such an instantaneous change.
Yeah.
It was literally like, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So can you elaborate a little bit on the schizophrenia? What does that look like? Like trying to see the world how you you see it when you are undergoing, let's say, is it like episodic or is it just like all the time? Can you describe, is it with the music or how can you describe how it is, how it affects you
It's a
throughout the day?
combination of things. The paranoid thoughts are troublesome, but that there's always somebody out to get my music, steal my ideas. The government, it's always, I don't know why it's always the government.
Okay, alright.
There's a lot
Do you want to sit down?
There might be some truth to that. My parents are both medical. There's some speculation that, for example, vaccines, they chip or microchip or
I see where
you
you're
know,
going.
I
Like
mean,
the nanotechnology. I mean, eventually,
military years and years of I mean, what the military has now in public, we'll never know what they're going to have. Right now the cloning and everything. I can about to go on.
it's okay. It doesn't. It's fine.
Let's put it this way, and to your viewers, some might laugh, but I genuinely believe that there are beings that inhabit the moon. Why? Just years and years of going down the rabbit hole. And you get to the point where you can't even bother to explain it to most people. Because they're so close-minded. For example, the Bible talks about ancient beings called the Nephilim. And when the angels left heaven and joined Satan, they made it a human woman. They had access. And these were giants, men of old, men of humanity. It's funny how Malians have these regions, Chinese have Greece, Native Americans. All these cultures all around the world are different. Certain times, these were highly evolved. The national, how many national? Come on, thousands of years old. They can only be visible from above. Not for what other reason? They need to be known. The parts of direction, mathematical equations. And they all relate to one another. And you follow that route, and then you can you put it in conjunction with the UFO mythology, the alien race, the reptilians, you know what I mean? And it all just fits perfectly.
Do you think that, like when you're thinking about all of that, do you see a parallel or connection between military too, or is that what?
Well, yeah, because what can happen wrong way? You know what I mean? It's now, people really think that secretly they made a deal. Yes, it was. That's one of the reasons.
That's why he was cast to. Yeah.
One of the counterbalance of every time, but you need help.
I mean, just even in his story, you need that help. You need that. You need the darkness too. Yeah.
I believe what the God is saying for people. I believe the God is people that we do have a plan. There's so many. Look at the real people behind the curtain, the real money masters, the Bilderbergs, the Soros, I'm going to kill us saying all this stuff.
No.
Just kidding. I don't care. So be it. You know, keep it profit. But Ross was perfect. I mean, again, these beings are technologically superior in so many ways. You can't even comprehend. You look at the United States has been working on a plane for a few decades now, the TR-3B. Anti-gravity. And it's a triangle shaped plane. Very, very fascinating. I wouldn't call it a plane. It's craft, so to speak. They released the public on film about this numerous sightings with a tech decades beyond anything they're using officially. Some computers. We go from the birth of Christ for thousands of years. Then Roswell happened. World War II happened. And from that we go to this today. In like 60 years. We go from such a it's huge.
Oh, it's exponential, and it keeps on going, right? Yeah.
It's funny. This is the first time I've ever had to try and articulate these things. It's not something I do often.
Sure.
So, fact checking. Sorry, can't do it for you guys. You're listening to the mind of somebody who's never had to discuss these things before. So you'll have to go do your own digging.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's fine. We want to know how you see life anyway, and how you understand it.
Beautiful. Life is beautiful.
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. Since you mentioned, like, I think the Greys, one of the questions that I ask in every podcast episode is, if all of a sudden, let's say we were in this park, and all of a sudden everyone around us froze, everything, and then all of a sudden we had a spacecraft appear or come down, and out snapped the spacecraft came an alien, but they took on the form of a well-known agency that was studying us.
Yeah.
They took on the form of
We already do.
right. So, and I like to use the actor Benedict Cumberbatch for whatever reason.
Sure.
Let's just say it's Benedict Cumberbatch. He comes out. We find out he's actually a journalist from another galaxy. Let's even, I don't know, Andromeda or whatever. And he is just doing a report, kind of like, I don't know if you've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but like,
Long time ago.
there you go, Ford Prefect. So he, let's say he's doing a report on the planet, and he has chosen you as the sole representative of the planet to give him a 5-minute synopsis of how you see life on this planet, how you understand it, how you see even humanity. And I believe you've already touched on this, but if you had to say it to him, to someone who really actually doesn't know how we operate on this planet and what life means here, how would you explain to him?
Very simply. Live to learn to love, and love to live. I'm not sure if I could simplify any more than that.
I think that's beautiful.
Live to learn to love, and love to live. And at the same time, accept the fact that everything has an opposite. A lot of hate. And neither. How can we have love without hate?
How do you know what love is without hate? Yeah. Right.
Music is perfect. Music represents life perfectly. That's why God gave it to us. Because it doesn't need words to explain things that are so complex.
Yeah, words are only symbol. I mean,
Words seriously. I find verbal communication to be quite troublesome. Because there's so much that I want to say that I do not have words for. Not because I have a limited vocabulary, but simply because I'm feeling so much that there just isn't the right words. It's kind of, I mean, again, coming back to psychedelics. You know, you can't explain a trip to someone who's never been on a trip. You know, you can't explain color to a blind person. And sometimes with the way the mind works, words just don't exist. That's how things really are. But it makes a very lonely world too. Because I mean, I'm surrounded by people that love me, but I feel very isolated. I never thought that in the world of 7 billion people I feel so alone. So it's very, very hard to communicate with them. Because they'll never see it. I'll never see it through their eyes. But they'll never see it through mine. And most of the time, it's a shame. You know, especially with the kids of today. They all just walk around with their heads down. I've never had a cell phone. And I have one once just because but it was just a basic little flip phone thing, you know? Flip phone. Flip phone.
Yeah.
I had it for a few months, that was it. But since like the last 6 years, I haven't had a phone. It's beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful.
It's beautiful. No one.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's great. But it's sad because I live in university and the clouds would just be stunning.
Yes.
And I'm like, God, look. And I look around and they're all just like playing Candy Crush or Instant Snap.
Snapchat.
Yeah, that thing.
Thank you, and thank you so much because I am the same way.
Yeah.
In fact, I would do this at work a lot of times where I would just people would be like, in front of their computers, and I would look out and I would be like, it's gorgeous outside. It would have like this feeling of intense feeling of wonder and just pure respect for the majesty of what I'm seeing, or even
creation.
well, yeah, and then or at a football. I was at a football. I don't really go to football games, but I was at a football game, and literally I could care less about the game, but I saw the sun was going down, and I love sunsets, and I see everyone else just so riveted on it. I'm like, do you people not see something so much more grand? So I understand you completely in that respect. It is.
Life is absolutely stunning.
It is stunning.
Every single day is a brand new painting. You get to live in it.
We're all too stuck in our own little worlds and worried about Candy Crush, like you said, or whatever.
They're worried about. I don't know. I find the poorest people in the world are some of the most open and real. I find a lot of people, very nice people on the surface, but very preoccupied. And it's so refreshing to have a conversation on this with someone, because most of the time people just kind of tune out. I mean, I might come across as a little strange or something, so be it, I really could care less. Sorry, you people are just as strange to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, totally. In my little world, like everybody else.
I so get it. Yes. Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah. Yep. That's why I feel like an imposter at my job half the time.
I'm the kind of guy, he's tired. I can hear him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like they have a life of their own. I understand that they're inanimate objects, but I do know what you're saying.
Everything's conscious. And people laugh their heads off when I say this. But maybe not conscious in a sensible way. But all things. I view the entire universe as one large living organism.
Sure.
We're cells.
That's kind of how I think about it too. With us,
Like,
yeah, it's part of it. Yeah.
I mean, because if you start from the subatomic level, protons, neutrons, electrons, they all form the basic building blocks of our life. And you zoom out from there and you enter the biological world of cells and structures. Right? Now, if you're a cell, the human body is like infinite cells.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And look at the components of the cell. And then zoom out from the cells form organs. They have their own function. And the organ is larger. And then you have human. Then you zoom out from human, from a single human. and you got galaxies and everything.
Yes.
Constantly moving.
Constantly. Yeah, exactly.
Constantly moving.
Yeah.
And everything's constant. It's all one organism.
Yeah. Do you ever do this? I guess it's new, not called projection, but do you ever just imagine yourself kind of floating outside of the Earth? You feel away. I mean, really? By accident? Okay, what happened?
Yeah, it scared me. It terrified me. It was amazing. I couldn't sleep that night,
Yeah.
and it got around 3, 4 in the morning, and I was at the state where I was tired, but not tired enough to fall asleep. And I remember everything just started to vibrate around me, and it scared me at first, but I'm always a curious person. What I mean shook, like everything was shaking,
Really?
and it got stronger
Yeah.
and stronger, and I remember just kind of exhaling, and I just lifted out of my body, and I just it was amazing, and I floated over to the door.
Yeah.
I was too scared to go out of the door. I was too scared to leave. And there's a cord.
Really? You had a cord? Oh, interesting.
There's a silver cord. That's attached to your body.
Interesting.
It was, of course, oh, yeah, you just had a dream. No, it was not a dream.
No,
It was not a dream.
Something.
It was, and I haven't tried to go back because I strongly believe that it's not something you should connect with. Again, people might say, well, that's just your Christian belief. No. I just know that it's not something we should mess with because if I can get out, we can get in. And schizophrenic, last thing I need. I mean, again, yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I do.
I don't. And believe me, demon possession is a very real thing. Very real thing. And that's another reason why I refuse to do psychedelics again. Because I did encounter entities, so to speak, and it gave the impression of being of light, but in hindsight, false. Very, very false. Because again, the experience was amazing. I learned a lot from the experience, but it leads you down a very twisted road. Because at the end of the day, what are you actually getting from those experiences? I got a lot of positive things, but at the same time, you're opening your mind to something that's far beyond your control. You're entering a world that's not yours anymore. Like you're really stepping out into the real world, so to speak. Once you leave the 4-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional world that you live in, and you enter the psychedelic state, you're putting yourself at risk. Some people might laugh at that. For example, some people talk about dimethyltryptamine and the machine elves, or psilocybin and the other
Machine
entities.
elves, what is that one?
People who take the DMT report coming in contact with these elf-like beings who teach them how to manipulate, they show you how to turn words into objects, and when you speak, you can create shapes. Basically using sound to create matter. Which actually, it makes sense. The entire universe vibrates.
Vibration and frequency.
Yeah. If you look at the planetary, even the orbits of some of the planets, there's all pictures on the diatonic scale. These are from fifth, fourth, third. Oh, it's amazing. Again,
That's amazing.
Oh,
Fifth scale?
if you look at the orbital patterns and some of the stellar, I don't even want to say phenomenon, but some of the stellar objects, they form mathematical equations that can be directly related in sound. The pictures on the diatonic scale. The entire universe is everything. The entire universe is a large, beautiful composition.
Yeah.
We don't know it's a lot. And every choice that you make, every choice anybody ever makes,
That is really fascinating, and I think sometimes we do hit those dissonant notes. We all do. We all hit our. We do. And I think it's important to realize that it all flows together to make a beautiful composition, no matter what. You know, I mean, yeah. It's refreshing talking with you too. I appreciate your forthrightness and being honest about, you've gone through some stuff and all that. Seriously, and I appreciate the piano playing, and I want to stay in touch, man. That's for sure. And once this is, once I get this edited down, I'm going to publish it and make sure I stop it and save it. Or did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to say about just your perspective on life?
I think I said it best a few minutes ago. Learn to live. I can't even say it right myself. I came up with it.
Yeah, no, I have it. It's recorded, so
Live
we've got
to
it.
love, learn to love, and love to live.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's a lot harder to do than it is to say.
Absolutely.
And don't dismiss clouds. Don't put cloud in your life. One day, you're either going to be right or wrong. You don't want to be on the wrong side of that. Some people believe in it, you know. But I stand by my choice.
Of course. You're entitled to that choice.
And I worry about other people fail. So you only get one chance here. Every religion you got to do something. Christ gave something. So what I'll do.
And explore music, of course, obviously, sure.
And keep an eye out for the aliens.
Exactly. Dude, do you want to do just one more piece?
Yeah.